Hello and welcome to episode 71 of Your Ultimate Comeback. We're trying out a different studio today. It's a little feminine for my taste, but we're giving it a whirl.
Yeah.
We're going from super masculine to super feminine.
Yes.
And we'll find one in the middle soon.
Yeah, I think this is probably not the one, Brad. You're getting in touch with your feminine side for sure,
Yes.
and that's good for you.
Thank you.
All things grow with love.
Yeah, I'm feeling the love right now. Yeah.
But yeah, I think we'll have to land on something that's a little more neutral.
Yeah.
How's that?
Gender neutral.
Gender neutral, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's.
So how's everything been? Everything good in your world?
Just busy with the travel.
How's Quinn's volleyball going?
Good.
Yeah?
Good. Yeah.
They doing well?
They are, and I leave tonight to
geez.
go out and see her again. So yeah, it's busy.
Polly,
you said, I was listening to the podcast, and you said, yeah, Raquel's up at San Luis Obispo. I'm like, no, I'm not. I was in Arizona.
Sorry, watching Cal Poly San Luis Obispo.
That's correct. Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. You don't have my
can't keep track
schedule
of your
committed to
schedule.
memory.
Sorry,
I'm
no,
hurt.
yeah.
I'm very hurt. Yeah. We go to Poly 2 weekends in a row. So yeah, it's a lot of travel, but again, grateful that I can do it.
Yeah. It's a great time. It won't last very long.
No, everyone
4 years
says
go
that.
by in a flash.
Yeah. Well, it's just like when the kids go to high school.
Yeah.
I'm sure you feel like that with Isabel,
it's
right?
over so fast.
One moment she was a freshman, and now you're like looking at colleges.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
Yeah.
It really is how that.
Super wild. Mm-hmm. Well, so I thought today you sent me an interesting video a couple days ago.
Oh yeah.
All on nicotine.
Yes.
And you weren't the only one to send it to me. I got it actually from
really?
a few people. Like,
Really?
what the hell is this? Is this real?
Yeah.
And so I thought we'd talk about it a little bit.
For sure. Great idea.
I don't know a ton about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I do know one thing about nicotine that I actually really like.
Okay.
Is it is an amazing neurotropic.
Okay.
Meaning that it dials the brain in when you need to focus or be alert on something. Really powerful tool. So I used, back when I wrote my book, I figured out using nicotine gum.
Okay.
I would chew a piece of gum while I was writing, and
Yes.
it really helped me focus.
So that doesn't have any of the bad stuff, the nicotine gum.
No, so I don't know about the nicotine gum, but
Okay.
it's, so when you start like searching it, like nicotine and cancer, because everyone
Right,
thinks nicotine
right.
causes cancer.
Sure.
It's
I did.
actually, it's the carcinogens in the cigarette smoking and the tobacco that cause the cancer risk.
Okay.
It's not the actual nicotine. Nicotine's a very addictive thing within it to keep you having to use it.
Right.
But it's the other stuff that's mixed in with those.
Yes.
So when you start digging into actual just nicotine, it's not, it doesn't have all the cancer risk that the tobacco and smoking and all that has.
Right.
So I think it's really funny because when you type in is nicotine safe, boom, it'll start talking all about cigarette smoking and chewing tobacco.
Sure.
But it's like, that's not the question I asked. Is nicotine safe? So this video you sent over, I don't know, it sounds pretty extreme to me, but this guy's talking about how nicotine has been found to be very profound and positive in helping all kinds of diseases like Alzheimer's and a certain type of tumor. I can't remember which one it was, but like just a vast array of things that it's beneficial in fighting against. I've never looked up for that.
Right.
But I thought that was interesting. And then he also started saying a lot about how we're getting nicotine in a lot of the foods we're eating. We don't even know it.
That's wild. When I heard that. Him say that,
Again, I didn't verify that or look that up. I did try looking up, like, is nicotine beneficial to like a lot of the diseases he was talking about? Can't really find a whole lot on it.
Yeah.
But I do, like I said, I believe it is an incredible neurotropic. It's super addictive though.
Yeah.
So you have to be really careful when you use it.
Right.
Because once you're hooked, you're hooked. I mean, everyone's known someone trying to come off of cigarette smoking or chewing tobacco.
Sure.
It's a gnarly addiction when you get into it. But I actually even have a naturopathic doctor years ago. He was the one that first taught me about it. When I was writing my book, he's the one, I was at a conference with him. He's like, hey, try this. He gave me a piece of Nicorette gum. He's like, just watch what it does to your brain.
Wow.
And oh my God, I was like, boom, like super dialed in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I through that period of time since then, like I've gone through some very rough periods where I've had really hard time focusing. And I am not recommending anybody go do this. I want to be like super upfront with it. But when I was going through some of my really rough times in life, I noticed that I had a really hard time focusing on work. As soon as I sit down to try to work, my mind would just go crazy. And if I threw in a piece of Nicorette gum, I could actually get stuff done. It allows me to focus that much. So it is a very, very powerful nootropic. But again, like all these claims about it being this incredible like health tool.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
But so that was kind of the response I gave people that I didn't. I was.
So
gonna
it
share
was
with
not
you.
just me; it was several people.
No, I got it from several people. Like,
The same exact one.
Yeah, I was like, can you believe this?
Wow.
And I was like, well, I kind of
Yeah.
I'm open to it. Because what I've learned is that they've made us think nicotine is this thing that causes cancer,
Right.
but it's not the nicotine, it's the carcinogens in the cigarette smoking and the chewing tobacco. The nicotine isn't responsible for that. And I do know it's a good nootropic.
Yeah.
Regards to all these claims of it being so healthy, I don't know about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was not very successful in the short time I had looking into it, finding any of the validation of the claims he was making.
Right.
But I am open. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't be surprised in the way that there's a lot of things that we've been led to believe are terrible for us that aren't.
Yeah, that's why I'm open-minded about it.
Right.
And I'm going to track it.
Yeah. We things like butter and eggs and meat we have been vilified for a long time.
Oh yeah, it's been horrible.
Right.
And one of the things he was saying that we get a lot of nicotine from is vegetables.
Yeah, that was interesting.
That was super interesting.
Yeah.
So I learned something. I just learned this yesterday. ChatGPT has this new thing called tasks.
Tasks.
Okay. And you can set it every day, week, however often you want, to scour the internet to find information
about your topic.
About your topic. So that's one of the things I'm asking it to do is once a week send me all the references around nicotine.
Okay.
To see what starts pulling around on the internet.
You like that AI stuff.
I am really getting into it. I really like it.
It scares me. I know we've talked about that. But
yeah, I know. I do know it's scary, but it is such a powerful tool. For
You'd get one of those robots, wouldn't you?
100% I would. Make my life easier.
Yeah.
It's a really AI is a really cool tool, and I was really against using it because I didn't know how to use it.
Right.
But as soon as someone taught me how to use it and kind of gave me a glimpse into the world, how to do it, I'm a really big fan of it.
It just is going to have. I mean, how is it going to be? I don't know. Kind of contained. That's the thing that I think is scary.
Yes, but it's not going away.
Right, absolutely not.
And if I don't learn how to use it in my realm, I will get lost in the mix. Like I know that much because of how it's going.
You're going to have to step up. Yeah,
you have to learn how to use it and use it to your benefit.
Right.
And what I've learned about it is it's incredible.
Yeah.
But it will go rogue every once in a while.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is when we were in Arizona and we didn't have a car, it was, you're Ubering or you're lifting, and I see this car with this weird little thing on the top. I said, what is that? Waymo. It's the self-driving car. And I thought, oh my God, we're in freaking Blade Runner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
I haven't been in one yet, but
I haven't either.
Yeah.
But it was wild to see, I actually downloaded the app thinking that we would use it while we were there, but it was very busy.
Oh, really?
And they aren't here.
Yeah.
So I don't know where they are.
I'm not sure. A couple of my football players have shared these stories of using it because they're all over the United States. So
it's just it's one step away from now we're gonna have flying cars. All the things.
Jetsons coming to life.
I know. Seriously, craziness.
Yeah. Any other topics you want to discuss that you were thinking about?
I think that we can talk about the fact that I got sick because my husband got me sick. But that it's so interesting to me that if you ever wonder if these freaking Aura rings really work, they really do.
Yeah, they're great predictors of it.
Shows, it does the rut row and lets you know that, guess what? Things aren't so good.
And what's interesting, if you look back at the time kind of leading up to getting sick and document it, you'll start to see a cycle over time. You'll be able to predict when you're getting sick.
Yeah.
You can even begin to interject solutions to try to help fight it off.
Well,
prior to it happening.
Right. I feel like I was kind of a sitting duck because, Matt was sick. We're in a car together. Yeah. He's sneezing. We're on the freeway. There's nowhere to run. So, that was inevitable. Yeah. But yeah, definitely. I feel like as I've gotten older, I've become much more attuned to my body and signs that,
And getting sick is actually a good thing.
You said that. And I feel, about once a year is okay. Would you?
If you aren't getting sick at least once or more a year, you're probably too stressed out.
Okay, so that you've said that to me before, and you have to walk that back for me and explain that a bit more.
Yeah. So if you are never getting sick, it means your immune system is suppressed, usually from stress. So like what you'll see.
And someone would say, well, isn't that good?
No, it's not good because it means your immune system is not being active.
Okay.
So the class where I really started seeing this was working with CEOs. They just go.
Right.
Go.
And they're never
sick.
Right.
They grind.
Right.
Until they go on vacation.
And then
And as soon as the stress hormones come down and the immune system gets more active, boom, it hits them like a ton of bricks.
Right. That makes sense.
So the stress system is very involved. So as cortisol elevates, the immune system dampens. As cortisol comes down, the immune system gets more active. And that's because it's built around sleep-wake cycles.
Okay.
So it's supposed to happen, and it's so crystal clear with little kids. is it as their cortisol starts to come down, it starts getting closer to bed, all of a sudden, if they're sick, it starts to get really bad. Anybody who's a parent knows that over the night is the most wicked time to deal with it.
Yes.
Until about 6 a.m.
Right.
Because that's when cortisol starts to pick up. And what I see with my kids all the time is they're sick at night and it's a horrible night.
Right.
And then around 6 o'clock, all of a sudden they start sleeping very peacefully. All the symptoms go away.
Right.
And they wake up and think, oh, it's over. They've passed it.
Yeah.
And they'll be fine all day. And then as soon as the evening comes and the cortisol comes down, immune system gets more active.
Right.
Well, I believe, I don't know for sure, but I believe that was for when we lived in the wild. So at night when you're resting and things are a little safer, the body can go in and fix itself and heal things and fight the stuff off. And then when you need to be alert and active during the day, it's going to suppress itself so you can survive life. That's what I kind of believe. I don't have any references and science or anything like to validate that, but it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So people that are running on stress all the time, they hardly ever get sick. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
But what it means is that the immune system is not very active.
And when they do, it probably really takes them down.
Oh, yeah. As soon as they go on vacation or they get a couple days off, it's just, I remember I had one CEO came to me and his cycle was this. He would just work himself into the ground until he ended up with some gnarly viral infection and ended up in the hospital.
Wow.
And that would be his time off.
So it would shut him down.
Yeah, he would push so hard, so long that eventually the whole system would collapse.
Yeah.
And basically the cortisol got so low, it couldn't function anymore. The immune system would just go crazy and he would just get his fanny handed to him. Spend, I think, 3 to 5 days in the hospital.
Wow.
Fighting off whatever he had. That was his downtime.
Vacation
And as soon as he got
hospital.
better, he was boom, back at it again until the next one.
And didn't learn the lesson.
By the third or fourth times when he finally came to see me, and I kind of explained what was going on and how we're going to beat it, and that hasn't happened since, but I'm like, that's not a good way to live, man.
Right,
like,
yeah.
So, and what happened is he ended up having over time like a lot of major health issues, like
Makes
blood
sense.
sugar issues, like all kinds of major issues because he ran so hard, so aggressively for such long periods of time.
Yeah.
It just beat the hell out of the whole body in general. Yeah. So, and if you watch kids that are like, they're not dealing with too much stress.
Right.
They get sick 3, 4, 5, 6 times a year. They're fighting off colds. They pick stuff up.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. I've never thought about that.
Yeah. If you watch children, you can really get a grasp at how we're supposed to be.
Carefree and happy?
Carefree and happy. Yeah. Not stressed.
Not paying rent?
Sleep great. Yeah. But I'm talking about in regards to like how the immune system works, the sleep-wake cycle works, how they move. If you watch children before they get into school, they move exactly how we're supposed to move with human beings. They move perfect.
Okay.
It's getting worse now because our kids spend more time on tablets and in front of shows more than ever. But it used to be, if you watch a kid before they went to school, they were very active and moved around all the time. And so they like the way they pick things up is perfect. The way they move biomechanically is
they don't
beautiful.
bend over. They
squat down,
all the way
they
down.
pick it up.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
They move really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild.
So I remember I had one of my really good friends. He's a strength coach up in San Francisco. His name's Jason Vaughn. He had a guy come in that was paraplegic.
Okay.
Had bad car accident, partial paraplegic.
Right.
Couldn't function from the waist down.
Okay.
He at that same time had just had a child. And so he's watching his little boy, like just how he kind of like progressed to go from not moving at all the way to standing. And he just took this guy to the same exact, started mimicking exercises that his kid was doing.
Wow.
And I remember I went and I watched him train the guy 2 months prior to this event that happened. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's no way. Like he would like kind of stand up and then just go into like this lockup and just fall. And I was like, this guy's never like this.
Right.
And then 2 months later, he gets up, takes his first few steps.
Wow.
And he looked at my buddy and he's like, you call your friend Brad right now and you tell him what I just did. Because I could see in his eyes when he was watching me, he didn't believe this was ever going to happen.
Wow.
Maybe this will make him more of a believer.
Wow.
Oh. He was the first guy ever to walk in the front door as a project walk.
Wow.
Yeah. But all my buddy did. And it was like, you're going to hurt him. He's like, really? What am I going to, like?
Yeah, what's going to hurt?
He's paraplegic.
Right,
what am I going to hurt?
Yeah.
And so the guy, they had the greatest attitude about it. And Jason's philosophy was, I'm just going to watch.
I got nothing to lose.
Yeah. And so he just mimicked exercises this kid did. So over that 1 year period,
wow,
he just mimicked the exercises and kind of re-educated the guy's body how to walk. It was phenomenal.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of power in watching children.
Sure. Absolutely.
And how they do things and how they're functioning. And that's kind of a really nice tool.
Well, they certainly have it right when it comes to how to deal with life.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
They're not worried about clicks or likes or what have you.
No, and they never have a problem sleeping.
No.
Because the stress of the world doesn't hit them as deep.
Right.
But they don't, I mean, it's hard to say how they're taking it, but because there's a lot of damage later in life from things they took on as kids. But,
Sure.
But they typically sleep really well and rest real well, and they're they want to be active unless we're preventing them from being active. I think that's been a major struggle I've had, is the whole thing around, all these kids have ADD. It's like, no, they're a little kid. They want to be outside running around playing and moving. They don't want to sit all day.
Well, they've also found that a lot of that is dietary.
Yeah.
You know, the things that we're feeding these kids are not maybe best case scenario.
Well, yeah.
And,
so you give them the bad food. You don't let them move around. You make them sit still and not do anything and listen.
Yeah.
I remember watching my kid when he was little, like, okay, but time out. You're sitting on the chair for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
A minute and a half in, he's like upside down. Like, he couldn't just sit there.
Of course not.
Yeah. He's like, I'm still on the chair, Dad.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah.
Yeah. They're not, especially boys, they're not meant to sit around.
No. Boys are very different than girls, like, for sure. I mean, I'm sure you've seen that with your two. I definitely have.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, how they learn, how they absorb, how they, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, we can make these gross generalizations, but they're pretty true. I mean, very organized, typically the females, and the guys not so much.
Yeah, it's been two drastically different experiences.
Yes. But it's good though, right?
I loved both.
Yeah.
It was my daughter was the most fun because I didn't know what that was like.
So you better walk that back if your son ever hears that.
Well, no, because I knew what to expect of my son. I knew how that was going to be.
I'm okay. I see. Yeah.
I lived that
life.
You
knew what to do.
I knew what to do. I knew how to handle it all.
Okay, that's fair.
With my daughter, it's been a daily learning lesson.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Like, I've learned, like, there's certain periods of time, you know what I'm talking about, with my daughter. I've learned, everything okay? I'm fine.
Yeah.
Let it be.
Yes.
Where I've learned with my son, I just got to talk it out of him.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. And when she's ready to talk, she's going to come to me.
Yeah.
If I don't pull it out of my son, he's never going to bring it up.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's
okay,
going to
so
hold it.
Learned, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, it's very interesting that way.
Definitely different.
Yeah.
So here's an off-topic question, but it made me think of it because why do girls, and maybe you don't know the answer to this, but I find it fascinating. Typically, okay, let's talk about like Quinn's volleyball team. A lot of them will be on their menstrual cycles at the same time.
Oh, I've heard about this.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know why that works. Brad. I don't know what causes that.
It's wild.
Yeah, but when you put a group of women together for a large period of time,
we need to get back with me on this.
They begin to all regulate and have the same cycles.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah.
Okay. I have no idea what causes that.
You don't? Okay.
No.
Well, darn it.
I'm guessing it's some ancestral thing.
Oh.
I'm guessing.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really know, but I'll see if I can
have to look it up and get back to me on that.
Right. Yeah, I'm not so much of an expert in that realm. Still learning a lot.
No, I had one and I'm not an expert. So, there's that. But okay, so what do we have? We got nicotine and stress and sleeping and children. And this has been kind of an all over the place.
It has.
I love
it's
it.
Kind of some of my favorite ones.
Yeah.
Just rolling off the cuff.
Totally.
Don't forget the immune system. We talked a lot about the immune system.
We did. Oh, yes, definitely. And not to beat yourself to death.
Yes.
Or not to wear it as a badge of honor if you never get sick.
Yeah.
That's because I do hear people say that.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I never get sick.
Yeah.
It's been 3 years since I've been sick.
Yeah, when someone comes in and tells me that, I'm like, oh, damn.
Uh-oh.
This is going to be hard.
Really?
Yeah.
You just know.
Because part of the process of getting that person healthy is regulating that stress immune system cycle. And when you do that, they're gonna play catch up. The immune system's gonna play catch up, and they're gonna get sick a lot.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to go through that process.
Interesting.
And they don't like it.
Yeah. Well, who would?
Right.
Who would? Especially when you're used to living in this way where you think you're, avoiding all the things.
The benefit of it, the person who gets sick, once to 3 times or whatever. I don't know the exact best number, but the person who routinely gets sick. It doesn't last as long. They kick it faster, and it doesn't typically impact them as deep as someone who
makes sense.
Is the opposite.
Right.
Yeah.
I will say my favorite takeaway from when you get sick or when I get sick is I am so much more grateful about my health.
Yeah. 100%.
We're grateful for this, that, and the other thing, but until you don't have that for a moment, and we're all a bunch of babies, I am for sure, and we're not talking I'm in the hospital, but you're like, oh, I'm blowing my nose 10,000 times a day, I'm sneezing, I'm coughing, not feeling, not moving the way that I want to, and all of a sudden it's like, God, we turn into these little babies, and once the health comes back, it's, oh yeah, I mean, you don't know what health feels like if you don't get sick, I guess, from time to time, right? So it does.
It's the same thing about the ability to use your body well.
Yeah.
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 I always remember my dad. I asked my dad, because I talked about him a lot in this podcast, but he had a myotonic dystrophy. So his body, his muscle, everything just stopped working out.
Right.
He could not use it. I remember asking him, Dad, if there's anything you could do for one day, what would it be? And he was like, that's simple. I would play basketball for a day.
Wow.
I just want the ability to play basketball one more time. It's like when you lose the ability to use your body, you miss it more than anything.
Yeah.
So I've always taken that to light. I'm like, okay, always use, like, respect it, honor it.
Yes.
Cherish the fact that I can use it.
Right.
And make the most of it.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Perfect.
Definitely. I love it.
I think it's a great place to stop.
Yeah. Very good.
Little.
Yep. Thank you.
Let it roll. Awesome. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see all of you next week.
Yes.